is a reality TV star turned influencer named Kristin Cavallari. She was on what was it, The Hills back in the day, and now she's a social media icon of sorts, I guess you could say. But she went semi-viral recently because she had some advice for women. Mary, what was that advice that she had for women?
She tells women that it doesn't matter when you sleep with a guy. It could be on the first date or the 10th date. It has nothing to do with the way that guy will treat you. And I don't know how to interpret this as anything but malice. I don't see this as ignorance. This is a woman in her 40s. She has a kid, and she is still out there on the dating scene. She's learned enough from her life to know that this isn't true.
Yeah.
It just seems like she's giving bad advice to women who are younger and more impressionable than her in an attempt to cull her competition.
Andrina points out Laguna Beach. She was on Laguna Beach.
I hated that show.
Man, that was a product.
It was such a phenomenon. Yeah.
Let's look at the video.
Yep, here we go.
This is from her Let's Be Honest podcast.
How many dates till you sleep with a guy? I've been on this thing in the last 2 years maybe of being like, you should make him wait 3 or 4 dates. I don't think it fucking matters. It doesn't fucking matter if you sleep with him the first date or the 10th date. If there is chemistry and feelings there, it doesn't matter. I saw this relationship coach post 90% of couples who are in the best relationships where they found the one all slept together the first or second date. So I don't think it matters.
Okay, first off, I just want to say no one who says it matters when you sleep with a guy is saying it's never worked out if you've slept with the person on the first date. Obviously there are exceptions to the rule, and there are happy relationships that become long-lasting relationships and they hooked up on the first date. I'm sure that happens plenty of the time. But that is not mutually exclusive with pointing out that still matters. Mm-hmm. And also, I think when you give dating advice like this to women, and most of the comments that are agreeing with you are men who just want
They're
sex.
like, yes, please. That's great advice.
Maybe
Go
that's
off, queen.
Yeah, maybe that's a bad sign. And all of the women in the comments that I've seen are disagreeing with her. So here's one comment from a man. He said, I always say for heterosexual relationships, if the guy is paying for dates, if you're not sleeping with him after 3 dates and he paid, you don't like him like that. When a guy asks someone on a date, they definitely want to sleep with you. If they keep paying and you're not putting out, I do find it a little messed up, especially if he's being a gentleman. Well, first off, I don't think he's a gentleman if the only reason he's paying at Noodles and Company is so that he can penetrate you 3 weeks later.
Wait.
I never thought I'd hear that sentence.
Wait. Noodles and Company.
Yeah, the date location for all of these.
I mean, that
scrubs.
might
as it's not Cheesecake Factory.
That might have contributed to why she's a desert down there. Maybe it was the fact that he took her to Noodles and Company.
A guy will post this statement with his face showing, with his name showing, and not feel the slightest bit ashamed of it, when he clearly views women as glorified prostitutes. And if they behave like them, who is to say they're not? If you believe yourself to be the same, your body is the same price as 3 dates to Cheesecake Factory, then you are a glorified prostitute and you are behaving like one. So of course guys are going to treat you that way. So it's really disgusting that he would just say that out loud and people are actually agreeing with him. Another said, trash advice, respectfully. This is from a woman. Another woman said, this is the absolute worst advice to give young females, especially in today's society. Another said, that's why you're divorced and still looking for someone in your 40s. Oof, ouch. And again, I'm not saying that it can never work out if you hook up with someone on the first date. Obviously, there are plenty of people who could say, oh, my story. I'm the exception to the rule, right? And it worked out for me. All the time, people will say this. When you make a generalization about how you ought to behave, someone who is the exception to the rule is going to raise their hand and be like, oh, but it worked out for me. Mm-hmm. And that's not the point. at all.
Right.
So I think this is really just malicious what she's doing.
I don't know if I see it as malicious. I see it as like you said, ignorance. I think I see it more as a bit of ignorance there in her own interpretation of it. I just
because you can do something doesn't mean that you should.
Yeah.
I mean, she's saying the only thing that matters is if you feel like you want to do something. So just the second that the urge hits you to do literally anything, you should just act on your impulses.
is the idea.
How does that lead to a long-lasting relationship?
Does the guy feel like if he gets to do so on the first date, if he gets you on the first date, like
You're easy.
the
It's kind of
chemistry
disgusting.
the chemistry better be really, really good, because he's just going to see like, well, I'll move on now.
Or he might be really, really desperate. If he's not thinking, how many other guys has she done this with?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and like typically someone's behavior when you meet them is how their behavior is going to continue to be in the long term. So if you meet someone and they sleep with you on the first date, what's going to stop them from doing that even after you guys are together with other people?
Yeah.
She's proven to be pretty promiscuous. I don't buy the study she
Are you
referenced.
saying like cheating? Like,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
even saying that. I'm saying like would the idea be that he looks and he says like, well, how discerning can she be if she did this?
Yeah,
on
maybe
the-
just in general.
Yeah, I
not
don't know if it
just
necessarily
sexually.
is an insinuation that anyone's going to cheat on someone. I do see it as perhaps.
I mean, if somebody has a history of promiscuity, they are more likely to cheat.
But I mean that's
That is a
we're
fact.
assuming stuff here about that. Like I'm just saying like
And
if they're
it
saying
is
themselves to be
statistically
less
proven.
if they're saying themselves to be less discerning of who they have company with, then perhaps the idea is like, look, can I trust her judgment? Like a self-deprecating guy would be like, look, why would she do that with me? This lady has horrible judgment. She should have waited at least 3 or 4 dates to evaluate. I don't know, like you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point, actually. Even beyond like the increased likelihood for infidelity, it just shows a fallacy in their judgment in general. Like how great of a character are they? How much self-discipline do they have? How much restraint does this person have? Is this someone I would want to be the mother of my kids?
Women might also look at a man not being at all interested right away, though, as being low T and not masculine enough. If he doesn't even, like, how does he signal to her that just because he's doesn't want to on the first date doesn't mean that he doesn't want to at
If a
all?
woman
not on the
thinks
man,
like that,
right?
she has severely warped
Yeah.
perceptions of relationship dynamics.
I don't think that that's unheard of these days.
No, it absolutely is all too common that a woman will equate a guy propositioning her for sex as interest in her as a person.
Yeah.
And those two things are not synonymous.
Dude.
And people will just chase after that high of feeling special when in reality, like, a guy propositioning you for sex, it has nothing to do with whether he actually thinks you're special.
Right. It doesn't make you special at all. Like most
Literally
guys
any
would sleep
woman
with most
can get
women.
sex with almost any guy
Yeah.
at any time, and they don't pursue that. Men don't quite relate to that or understand that because they just don't have our personal experience of it. But like that's not really what women are chasing after when they're engaging in this promiscuous behavior. It's this feeling of being desired because they have a void inside themselves that they need to fill. And it's from their upbringing or past relationships and trauma. And here this woman is just encouraging that self-destructive behavior in other people.
Yeah.
Likely, not even practicing this way herself. She probably doesn't do what she's advising other women to do. She's sabotaging them.
Yeah.
I was watching some interview with a bunch of like celebrities. I don't even remember who it was now. It said like these women who are like the Real Housewives types in like LA or New York, they'll just take their Uber driver upstairs and have sex with them after driving them home after going out. Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine you're the Uber
Gross.
driver and you recognize.
Well, I mean,
These women.
actually, they would probably look for one who doesn't recognize her, because why would any guy recognize a Real Housewives person?
No, he wouldn't.
He
Yeah.
wouldn't,
Yeah,
right?
true.
Well,
and terrifying.
I recognize this as a
Bad for you.
Catholic who believes in Catholic sexual morality that the way we talk about it is so different from the way that the secular world talks about it, but they've found a language for it, and it's something called soul ties, which is just the basic belief that, you know, having sex with someone connects you with that other person in a profound way that is irrevocable. And that comment says soul ties are a real thing. You're absolutely damaging yourself if you sleep around and give it up to anyone you have chemistry with. I know I'm old-fashioned, so I'm probably in the minority, but this generation's hookup culture seems so icky. Yeah. So the way to explain it, I guess, in secular terms is soul ties. And now casual sex has become so far the norm that you have to be considered a special sexual orientation if you want to have sex with only those who you have an emotional connection with. They call that demisexual. Like it's some kind of niche thing.
When I see her words, I don't see malice. I see somebody who's just very of the times. What she's explaining is the norm now, not the exception in the culture.
True.
There's a $20 one here from David Zuniga. Says, never get to catch you all live because of work, but whenever I'm driving for Uber Eats, the Spotify episodes are a godsend. I would go insane without them. Thank you. Don't you have to pronounce? You don't have to pronounce my last name. I don't know how to pronounce. There's a famous actor with that last name, and I don't know how to pronounce it. But I have a question. Have you ever met any real housewives while driving for Uber Eats? That's the real question, Dave. We need to know. We need to know.
Zuniga?
And yeah, like for these things, like the fact that there do have to be labels given to these things is sad. But I do think here, just like when we realize that women who talk here about how women shouldn't vote, and then you go back out into polite society and realize that if you said that in any normal environment, you'd be looked at like you were absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. We're in our own echo chamber of sorts here.
Right.
And that the real world is very different from the one that we tend to inhabit.
And you said she's how did you word it? A sign of the times?
Yeah, I see her as she's very of the times.
She's
like
of the
most
time.
of these people are of the times.
Someone who just never questioned any narrative that was fed to them.
Yeah, and sounds very insecure, and like she is trying to seek validation by giving this advice to other people so that other people really make the same mistakes that she has made that have gotten her into this position. So if she is of the time, then it's kind of concerning that could be potentially like the underlying common factor of what's going on with women, at least women her age and in her position.
Yeah.
I see another comment that said, this is the worst advice from a non-expert that gets women hurt. It matters because women produce oxytocin, a bonding hormone, when she has sex. And 2, the risk of STDs, obviously. 3, give yourself time to find out if he's crazy. It's not about trying to get him into you. It's about you being sure he deserves you. 4th, the study you recited isn't real. 5, playing something roulette isn't a dating strategy. 6, your body is worth more. Make him earn it. 7, according to real research, sleeping with a guy too soon interrupts vasopressin in a man, which is his bonding hormone. I'll have to research on that. But I mean, obviously there are plenty of proven physiological reasons that this is a bad idea.
Ladies, wait till at least the 3rd date and do not settle for anything less than Cheesecake Factory.
Why did the 3rd date become the rule?
I just made that.
It's such an arbitrary thing.
It is
but
the thing.
Like the 3rd date is what most people say now.
I mean,
why?
So if I was to look at it on the outside, I would say like for the girl, is it the idea that he's willing to move past he's not going to just move on just because he doesn't get what he wants instantly, meaning that he has some sense of self-control and ability to show patience and continued interest despite not getting what he wants immediately, because the assumption is going to be that the guy's going to want it right away. Fair enough. We do most of the time. That is absolutely true. For the guy, I would look at it as something like, if it happens too quickly, then you just give up and move on because you were given it without any effort whatsoever. Now, I'm not saying that. Then a lot of people, we get into those arguments, especially with like red pill channels or anybody who's talking dating where it's like he paid for dinner and you get the horrible examples of like the women who lead men on or just they go on dates just to get dinner, and that's a distraction. That's a side topic, right? But if it's a serious connection and you get to and you're willing to wait, like 3 is absolutely an unbelievably arbitrary number, but any amount of waiting in a culture that doesn't seem to know how to wait for anything anymore seems like a step in the right direction, I guess.
Yeah, our impatience has totally screwed with our like natural mating drives, because for women, they absolutely test men. So the whole idea of waiting to the 3rd date, which I would argue is still way too soon, but to each their own. It's a way to test the man and see if he doesn't get upset with you if you make him wait longer, because then if he does, then he has an uneven, like unpredictable temperament, and he therefore wouldn't be a good father and protector. And then like from the other side, for the men, it's like they kind of need that hunt. So if you sleep with him immediately, like
they're gonna lose interest.
Yeah,
they will. They'll be like okay, moving on, or you'll be seen as something to just go and do that. It'll just become about sex.
Yeah.
Harriet the Prince sent a $20 super chat. Mary being a base Christian is something that makes the world just a little brighter. Also, did you watch Top Secret, the comedy that I suggested last week?
Did you?
I did not.
Is that the animated conspiratorial one?
I don't know.
Maybe. But you're a base Christian, so it's okay.
Well, thanks.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.